Deary Powerful Improvements, Putnam, Connecticut. It is Sunday morning, April 14, and I've been messing around all weekend trying to get something to show you guys. And what I've done is I've got the super pump mounted directly in the back of the truck. I wound up taking the 5.5 pressure washer out. We'll find another place for it down the road if we need to, but I put the super pump right in here. It's a nice fit. We'll be able to drop the tailgate, pull the hose off the back. We don't want to replace the X6 box. We're going to keep that on the truck for redundancy. We're still going to use that machine. It's very viable. There's no reason to take it off the truck currently. But we want to do some testing on this thing. That's what everybody's waiting to find out about, what this thing actually does, how it performs. I'm very happy with how I have it set up in here. I was able to tag a water source right over there, feeding directly off the bottom of my tanks. So there's plenty of flow here that's unrestricted. I'm going to be putting 90-degree elbows in here. I ordered them last night online, so it's going to be a 90. So we're not going to have this big hoop of hose here. It's going to be more direct. Same thing with my chem and water lines. Those are going to be 90s, so they're going to go straight up and over to my tanks. I'll have hoops that kind of go like this. And that'll be nice. It's going to give me this pocket of space in the back to be able to get to things, access, etc. I wound up revamping my PVC tubing system up in here a bit that holds all my pipes. I got my Skyback stuff fitting in there pretty good. We moved the vise from this position over here, so this door opens all the way. It just clears everything. I got just enough space here, and I put my fuel tank up high. I can still access it. So that's good. I can still see the gauge, so that's good. I got some extra space right here. I'm thinking about putting another one of my spare electric hose reels in here just to fill up the gap so it looks a little bit better. But we're gonna do some flow testing here momentarily. Let's talk about the specs on this thing. All right, so this thing is rated at 16 gallons per minute. And you guys should understand that that is wide open flow. That means with no restrictions, none of these fittings on here, none of this reduction, none of this going through the reel, unrestricted. Much like any other 12 voltage you've used, if you've had a Remco pump of any size, 7 or 5.3 gallons per minute, you know that's not what you're getting at the gun. If you haven't done your own flow testing, you should, because you're going to be surprised what you actually get at the gun when you're talking about, you think you get a 7 gallon per minute Fat Boy pump. You're not getting anywhere near that at the trigger. Same with the X6. The X6 was rated at 6.4 gallons a minute. I get about 5 at the trigger, which is good. We like that. But you need to start with a big motor to get any kind of flow at the end. Much like an automobile that is rated at 1,000 horsepower, some kind of race car or whatever, what's it actually getting at the rear wheels? When they're rating the horsepower, that's motor, wide open. Okay, with no restrictions. By the time you go through your transmission, your rear end, your differential in the rear, put the rubber to the road, what do you have for rear wheel power? So that's what we're trying to find out here. What is our actual rear wheel power, starting with a 16 gallon per minute pump? So this is all 3/4 that comes out of here. Okay, so you got 2 3/4 that go to 1 3/4, and then it goes into a 1-inch manifold that comes out of here. This fitting is 3/4, so again, reduced and restricted. And I put just this pigtail on here. This is about 6 feet going into this bucket. And we're gonna time this for a minute and see what we get, open flow. Got my speed dial cranked all the way up and the breaker off. So I'm just gonna click the breaker on, and we're gonna go at 10 seconds past, okay? There we go. That was about 11 seconds past, so we'll give it a little bit of grace. So we got wide open flow into the bucket. This 15-gallon bucket has graduated marks along the side like a measuring cup, so we're going to get a pretty accurate reading about our flow. 3 gallons already. Remember, we're going to get to about 12 seconds past before we cut the power. She's wide open. I will say the battery's not fully charged necessarily. I've been running the snots out of it. Haven't charged it one time. I don't know how much difference that may make. We may try charging the battery and seeing if we get any kind of difference. You see things are still happening here. I'm gonna reach in here for the breaker. I shut it down maybe a second early. We are at 10 gallons per minute. See, that's well over the 9, okay? 10 gallons a minute is what I'm getting, unrestricted, with just a 6-foot pigtail coming off of there. I'm gonna put the 200 feet of hose back on here now, which is a bear. This is 3/4 inch hose. You can see how much of it I have in my yard. It goes way down to the road and flakes back through here. There's gotta be 225 feet of hose. There's a lot of hose. It's extremely heavy. It's hard to reel up by hand, okay? So we're gonna be very likely adding an electric hose reel in here at some point, or utilizing the other hose reel that's on the X6. We're gonna do some testing over there too. I'm thinking about doing a 3-way valve in the back so I can choose which reel runs the super pump. So I could jump it over to that reel. We'll do some testing and see if the restriction's not too bad, because that's a smaller reel. The internals are smaller, the hose is 5/8, but we're gonna flow test through this also to see what the restrictions are, how much flow I'm actually losing, and whether I wanna, deal with that or not, because this is a much easier reel for me to be using. This Real Deal reel is sweet though. This is very nicely made, very heavy duty. I've had a couple Titan reels. This is much better than a Titan reel. It's gonna be nice, big fat manifold in it. I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of flow. I'm an old man. It's gonna be difficult to roll this up, especially if I'm going uphill. If I have the hose run downhill and then I'm pulling it back uphill, that's not gonna be so much fun. So anyway, this is coming off. The 200 feet of hose is going back on, and we'll do another flow test and see what that looks like. Out here this morning, so no video on that. Hose all rolled up. I flaked it down the driveway, looped it out, brought it up in there, nice and neat. We definitely have that reel maxed out. Looks pretty badass now though, with some hose on there. I'm gonna take the gun off and we're gonna flow test it. Here we go, 3/4 hose, open flow. Stick that in there. We're gonna start, let's see, I start at the 12. I'm gonna let you guys go for a sec. Hold on. Turn the switch here. On 12. So let's see what we get. She's cranking. Wide open. I got a couple of things to do after this test. I got to get out of here for a few minutes. We'll come back a little bit later, put this gun back on, and take a look at what we get with the red gun. It's definitely going to be restricted when you put the gun on it. There'll be no doubt about that. We're at almost 6 gallons and we are 45 seconds in. So that's pretty good. Should put us right about at the same 9 or 10 mark, I think. All right, we're just about there. And that's it. Okay, there we are. We are at 9 gallons a minute. We're on a little bit of a slope here. Slight slope. A little bit more than 9. Put it like in the halfway mark there. Just a hair more than 9. That's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Like I said, we're gonna take a break for a few minutes. We'll come back, put the gun on, and test it again. We got the big red gun on here. I love these guns. There's some adjustment to be made on the back here. I may try to adjust my stream slightly before we do a distance test. But I got this back on. We're gonna flow test it. All right, we're gonna stick the gun right in here, like that. And we're gonna go on the 11. Ready? There we go. You hear it kick on, full blast. I've done this a couple times myself off camera over the last couple days, so I already have an idea what we're gonna get. But you know, I'm committed to showing you what's happening here. So exciting, isn't it? I mean, yeah, watching the clock. I know you could probably barely contain yourself. All you want to know is what the result is, right? We're gonna find out just in a minute. she rips. Looks good with all that hose on the reel. Like I said, we're gonna have to figure out an electric reel back here to make it feasible for my old body to roll it up all the time. Or we're gonna run it through the 5/8 reel like I talked about. Let's see, we're coming up on that 11. There we are. Let's see what we got. Where is the marks? There we go. We are right about 7.5, 8 gallons a minute. Okay, which is not too bad when you consider all the restriction that's happening here. There's at least 220 or so feet of 3/4 inch line here. We've got the red gun causing some restriction, the manifold, the different 90 degrees, etc. So again, we've been talking about this since the beginning of the video. You're not going to get 16 at the gun. You're not going to get what the pump is rated at the gun with any pump on the market, okay? This thing putting out 7 or 8 gallons a minute at the gun is the strongest battery pump on the market currently. I don't think anything else has this kind of performance. I'm very impressed with it. It's going to be a nice, strong house washing tool. I mean, that's the real deal. That's a lot of power. Real happy with it. We're gonna put it to use tomorrow. I got some house washes to do. Let's do a distance. We're gonna stand right here between the bucket and the Lufkin. We're all zeroed out. We're gonna shoot down the driveway. You got no wind at the moment. Oh yeah, I got some in the road. A little bit of fray in the road. Right at the end of my driveway. Nice big puddle right at the end. Well, let's go see what that distance is. Zeros. Oh yeah. I'm gonna go right here at the crack, and you can see I've got water running down the driveway here. It's good flow, and that is 58 feet. That's pretty good. Solid 58 feet. You can see I got some fray out there. This is where my big puddle was. That's awesome. That's good distance. Truck is way up there. You know, you're not getting much more than that out of anything else I can't think of. And, you know, honestly for me, if I need to shoot anything further than 60 feet, I need to reconsider what my process is. We're gonna go do some vertical at the house. See what that looks like. There's a little too much wind happening right now, but you can see how far over that peak I am. Don't need to show you any more than that. We'll show it in real world work tomorrow. So that's gonna conclude our initial testing on this. In fact, I'm not going to be able to do any real world work tomorrow. I'm going to have to take that back because I don't have this hooked up yet correctly. And I'm not doing it today. I've spent too much time playing with this today anyway. I'm putting 90-degree elbows on there. So we hoop this up in here correctly. I'm not going to do it on the straight ones just so that I can take it back apart. But thrilled with it. There she sits. Now we're doing some chem transfer. Gonna get a nice full tank of chemical to go. We're doing water because we're down to 1 bar on the truck. It's about 45 minutes to load this thing fully with water. I got my DeWalt battery charger hooked up to the 24-volt battery. It said it was already 100% full, but we're gonna let it run overnight. And that's it, guys. Catch you tomorrow. Enjoy what is ever left of your weekend. Peace.